Next on Rugby Wrap-Up's MLR Weekly, Utah Warriors head coach Greg Cooper, John Fitzpatrick of Rugby Morning, Bryan Ray of America's Rugby News, and the best recap in rugby ever.
Rugby Wrap-Up's MLR Weekly brought to you by Sheehy Auto Stores. It's easy at Sheehy. The Pig and Whistle, New York City, the world's best rugby pub. And Lean and Limber, stretching your way to a healthier lifestyle.
There is a massive responsibility on the 23 that are privileged enough to step out on that field today.
Let's get it started with rugby's best recap. In North Carolina, the San Diego Legion had the hometown anthem singing a sad song as 8 different Legion players crossed the whitewash in a try-scoring bonanza. Strong performances across the board for San Diego, who are off to a strong start. Tip of the tackle cap, trademark, to Carolina's Dylan Fortune with 20 and Makeen Ali Khan with 19. Final score, 52-5. In Chicago, it was to be the Butcher's Day for Hounds hooker Dylan Fawcett getting his league record 100th cap. But the Utah Warriors came down from the mountains and had different ideas, taking an early lead before the Butcher knotted the score at 21 in a seesaw battle. Chicago then took their first lead 28-21 before a controversial red card to Charlie Abel saw the Warriors get on the warpath, fueled by a great try by Spencer Jones. Yeah, you get the idea, in the 58th minute. Joey Mano's huge try in the 78th minute, his second of the match, sealed it for Coach Greg Cooper, who is on today's show, and the visiting Utahnians, 45-31. In Miami, the revamped NOLA Gold circled this match on the calendar as one they should win, and all looked to be going to plan as Cooper Coates got things started with a spectacular try. The Big Easy Boys, trademark, added another try before Miami got on the board with a penalty goal. That's when John Rambo stunt double Alex Tucci, who epitomizes perseverance, Rambo'd his way in for a try. The difference in this tensely contested contest was, however, the man of the match, Manuel Ardau, the undersized number 6 with courage you can't understand. Thank you, Bruce Springsteen, whose plays on both sides of the ball helped Miami survive another mind-numbing kicking disaster, a shot clock violation with 12 seconds left. Final score, Sharks 30, Gold 25. In Sunsplash, Southern California, the no-nickname Rugby Football Club Los Angeles welcomed in the Houston SaberCats and promptly started declawing them, sprinting to a 28-12 lead. But this is Hollywood, folks, and the script flipped when sin bin-seeking substitute prop number 17 got his first trip to the naughty chair in the 54th minute. 3 minutes after his return, his teammates caught sin bin-itis, handing the clawing Cats a penalty try. That was the second of 4 unanswered Houston tries, the final one costing LA a bonus point after number 17 got a red card for punching and kicking. Not good. Final score, 45-28 Cats. And after that, we could all use a break. Let's take a coffee break with John Fitzpatrick calling in from Washington, D.C. John, hello. How are you? What do you got?
Matt, I'm doing great. An interesting week across the MLR with 3 teams on bye, New England, D.C., and Seattle. But, Matt, number of great storylines. I think we got to start in Chicago, where I'd say the Utah Warriors put on a show and stunned the Hounds on the road, winning by a score of 45-31, as your recap just showed. But, Matt, certainly a Charlie Abel red didn't help Chicago there. But, Matt, were you surprised by this result?
Well, I'm surprised that it was actually a red. And I don't think the TMO should have overruled the on-field call if that was the case. And B, I was surprised by the result, but Dylan Fawcett last week told me that Utah was a very good team that people were underestimating. And that was off camera. So they are a good team, and they ruined the Butcher's day because he got his 100th cap, right?
How about that 100th cap, scored a try? What a legend.
But, waiting in the green room is Utah head coach Greg Cooper. So he'll be on after this So let's keep moving. Next.
All right, let's go down to Miami, Matt. We got to recap the wild ending of that game. For nearly the second week in a row, Miami nearly kicked the ball away or didn't kick the ball away. Matt, did you catch that last thing? Have you ever seen a ref time out a kicker like that in such a big moment?
Yeah, well, you had that with Australia's kicker. I think it was either the World Cup or the Rugby Championship, but the kicker did get timed out, and it was crazy. But is it going to be a wacky ending to every Miami game this whole season?
I mean, Dallin Stanford and Will Hooley were incredulous on the call. It was pretty funny to think something like that was going to happen again. I'll tell you what, though, Miami's a fun team to watch.
They are.
A little bit of cardiac kids, as some others have called them. But, I'm excited to see what they're going to do in week 3.
Absolutely. What else you got?
Yeah, Matt, I guess, we got to go ahead to Houston and LA here. It was a battle of two 0-1 teams. Certainly you don't want to go down 0-2 to start this season. And sure enough, the SaberCats trailed by 16 at the half. Of course, as your recap mentioned, they went on a 33-0 run. Matt, both you and I think Bryan Ray picked Houston to be the favorites in the Western Conference. Are you feeling a little bit better about that pick after Houston was able to come back and beat LA on the road?
I'll tell you what, LA's a good team. I mean, the Western Conference has good teams. We say this every year. But after watching Utah and their firepower and their new faces all look like they're all firing on one cylinder against Chicago, in the cold, but Utah's cold. Utah's a good team too. So am I completely confident that Houston's going to come out on top in this division? No, but I still think they're the best team in the West.
Well, Matt, look ahead to round 3. Pretty full slate. We've got games on Friday, Saturday. That's right, Saturday is Rugby Day. And Sunday, I think OGDC versus San Diego should be a fun test. Also, New England versus Chicago. Round out my highlights for round 3.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to this from a personal standpoint because I'll be there working with Next Level Rugby. Folks, I'm finally getting a gig back in the game. I'm in the game. And we're going to be doing like a halftime thing, maybe a little pregame at the Old Glory San Diego match. So very excited for the upcoming weekend.
Yeah, I got one more thing, Matt. Hey, how did your Fantasy Rutgers team do against my team this weekend?
We kicked your butts. Why don't you take that and stick it up your nose? And we'll be right back after this with head coach of Utah, Greg Cooper.
Digs like a demented mole there.
Need a great price on a new vehicle? Sheehy makes it easy. Easy Price shows you our lowest prices on the Mid-Atlantic's largest selection. Find your best price online or at any of our 31 dealerships.
It's easy at Sheehy. Sheehy.com.
If you're in New York City and want to watch some great rugby, have some great food, and some great times, go to the world's best rugby pub, the Pig and Whistle on West 36th Street.
How you doing? I'm Jim Hamilton. I'm at the Pig and Whistle. I'm at the famous Pig and Whistle. Look, I've got my rucksack on. I'm a well-known man around the world as one of the best rugby players to have ever played the game. No, I'm not. It's a lie. But we've got Paul O'Connell's montage on the wall. I've heard a lot about this place, and I'm here. Make sure, though, that you come here, but you also tune in to Rugby Wrap Up.
And we're back with Utah Warriors head coach Greg Cooper. Greg, welcome back to MLR Weekly.
Thanks, Matt. Nice to be back.
And it must be nice to be back, especially after a great win on the road.
Yeah, look, it was always going to be a bit of a challenge, Matt, as well. Having that bye in round 1, so trying to get ready for round 2. But yeah, going to Chicago doing what Chicago did to Houston the week before. So, we knew we were in for a pretty big challenge.
You could be considered, sir, for the new most interesting man in the world campaign. Your commercial.
I'm not sure where that's going. I'm not sure.
I mean, look, the life that you've had so far. You played with the All Blacks in your playing career. Then your career paths took various tracks. You were a businessman in Japan. You were a rugby analyst in the booth. You were a coach, of course. And those roles went back and forth as time went on. and now here you are in Utah coaching. I mean, it's a pretty cool, interesting story.
Yeah, it is, Matt, and I think the first thing I should say is I'm really lucky and I'm grateful for those opportunities. Being in television, being in business, being in coaching, and being in different countries. I've loved every place I've been to, and I love what I'm doing now in Utah. So, but I think that combination of all those experiences, whether it is in a business world, within a television world, within a coaching world, and a playing world as well, you find moments that you can store, and then you can pull them out when you might be challenged, or you might need to delve back into that, and I think all of that sort of add to the person I am, the coach that I am, and as I said, very, very grateful.
You've coached in your native New Zealand with the Highlanders and the Blues. You've been in France, right, as well, right? So how do you mesh? How do you marry all these cultures with the knowledge that you have in your locker room in Utah? Because there's different guys from different walks of life and different cultures.
I think the first thing about culture is not to impart, not to have judgment on culture. If I go to Japan and I say, well, I wouldn't do it that way. Well, I wouldn't do it that way, but the Japanese do it that way. I go to France. They've got a way of doing things. I first have to understand how they do it. Now, America's English speaking, but it's diverse.
For the most part.
That's right.
You been to Brooklyn?
Well, actually, there are a few accents or dialects that I've struggled.
Boston. Oh.
So yeah, but I look at it and I say, understand first, because culturally, I'm from New Zealand. We've got, yes, English speaking, and we do what we do. Don't be judgmental. Come along, listen, understand the American way, understand the Utah way, understand the rugby way, and then try and impart what I know to merge what I know with what they know to eventually arrive at the key thing here. It's a rugby culture. You can have a Japanese culture, you can have a New Zealand culture, you can have a French culture. Somewhere in between, there has to be a rugby culture that everyone buys into, that is a non-negotiable. So, if I'm in France, I can't expect the French who might be down this way in terms of the spectrum of the culture, and myself down this way. I can't expect the French to come my way, and I can't expect to go all the way to the French.
Well, can you expect the French to respect authority on a week-to-week basis? In
moments. No, they're a.
You gonna listen to a Kiwi?
They seriously are wonderful. But sometimes you get blindsided by something you just don't see coming, and that's the key. But keep your eyes open. But no, so I think the thing is, there's a non-negotiable rugby culture that there has to be an understanding from both sides, or multiple sides. Because as I said, we are merging. It's a melting pot of nationalities in the Utah Warriors.
Okay, so you have these cultures in the locker room, but this locker room now, after this is your third season in Utah?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Okay, so you inherited a roster when you got there.
Yep.
And you guys had 10 wins, and so you've had success. It's been a roller coaster of sorts. But now we saw a mass exodus of players. And to be fair, when us pundits are like, "Oh my goodness, look at the roster change in Utah," pretty much every team has that amount of roster change anyway. Some people were saying, "I don't know what Utah's doing," and other people were saying, "Wow, Utah's making some bold moves." And you just saw a huge win on the road versus Chicago, which makes you undefeated this year. I know you only played one match, but you're undefeated. So tell me about the players that you brought in. What kind of player were you looking for? And is now this a Greg Cooper team?
Yeah, and I think the first thing to answer that, Matt, is I will say I have never coached a bad person. I'm lucky. I mean, generally in sport, you get good people, and people may not fit your environment. And but every single one that you had to leave, it's a difficult thing to do. It's difficult to ring them up or bring them in for a meeting and say, sit down in front of them and say, thank you, but we're doing this. So that's the first thing that that I must point out. Secondly, the one thing about the Utah Warriors and every other team, or certainly the original teams, it's only 8 years into this competition. when you're playing for Toulouse or you're playing for Canterbury in New Zealand or whoever it may be, there's 100 and something years of history there. They know who they are. The Warriors don't, probably the team that knows who they are the most at the moment is probably the Free Jacks. They've probably realised they're a working team. I'm on the outside looking at the Free Jacks, and I think their identity is hard work. Their identity is it's never over until it's over. That looks to me to be the Free Jacks' identity. We had to say, who are we? And we dabbled in 2023 in this Utah Built. Utah Built is simply about, this is a bit of a harsh land here. People came here and made something that people said couldn't be done. It's about grit. It's about determination. It's about the never say die attitude, which you can put into other areas of America, but this is who we are saying we are, Utah Built. So you need to have people that align to that. So you have to have an identity, and then you have to align the people with that. So you need a Liam Coltman, who's a man of the land, who's a hard worker. You need a Kyle Brown at centre. That you kick a ball, that guy will chase every single kick that is kicked. You need these people. These guys won't stay down. They'll get up. So we looked at the identity. Who fits that identity? Clearly, you got to have a game plan around that. And that was it. It was as simple as that, really. It was, this is who we are, and these are the people we need to actually fit who we are. And I think we saw a bit of that on yesterday. We saw a bit of that.
What does Greg Cooper of this year tell Greg Cooper of his first campaign in Utah?
Oh, look, it's one, I'll go back to 2023 and say grateful to have that opportunity. But look, it was a team that was, and it was a good team. We were close. And then last year,
tough conference.
It was a tough conference. I think we were 5th overall in the MLR, but we just didn't quite get there. We beat Houston twice, home and away, and just didn't quite get there. So, I think there was going to be change because yes, we did well, but I think we were still not quite where we needed to be. We made some change last year, but we were still finding our feet. So the Greg Cooper of 2025 is laser focused and locked in. I'm very confident. There's a saying out there that a former great All Black actually told me when I played with him when I was 18 years of age. And the key to confidence is preparation, quality preparation. Quality preparation eliminates doubt. The elimination of doubt is the key to confidence. And it's pretty simple, very, very simple. But, I've got no doubt in my mind that we can be challenging that top of that competition. But then also, I'm fully aware there's a lot of others that are well capable of doing that as well. Now, a lot of things have to go well to do that, but we just can't turn around and say, good win against Chicago, that's great. Well, that's the start of the race. We've only just started. So the Greg Cooper of 2025 looks at this roster and says, right, guys, we've got work to do today, and then we've got work to do tomorrow, and then the next day, because we've got New Orleans on the weekend.
Yeah. All right, final question. The Western Conference is a conference filled with some talented rosters. What is the goal other than obviously winning the Shield that would be acceptable for you?
Oh, well, in an ideal world, we'd want to be in the top 2 of our conference because that gives us a playoff opportunity at home. A playoff opportunity here in Salt Lake. When it's starting to get warmer, well, it will be warm by that stage. Here at altitude, that would be on the back of obviously a team feeling good because if you're in the top 2, you must be playing okay. So you'd be feeling good. We've got a great environment here in terms of our crowd's a great crowd. It's as I said, altitude, heat. We'd be in a pretty good position if that happened. So that'd be a nice start. But like you said, we're all here. Every single head coach is here to win this Shield. All
right. Well, Coach, really appreciate you waking up early to come on the program and continued success out there in Utah. Utah Built, right? Greg Cooper.
Utah Built. That's it. Yeah, Utah Built.
All right. Thank you, sir. Much appreciated.
Thanks, Matt.
And now for the Major League Rugby Play of the Week, brought to you by the Rugby Network. Yes, there were more spectacular tries scored on the weekend, but none were as poignant as a master of the dark arts, Dylan the Butcher Fawcett, scored one of his signature tries off them all while earning his record-setting 100th cap. Just remarkable for a hooker in this league. Well done, Butcher. Here's to another 100. And that is this week's Major League Rugby Play of the Week, brought to you by the Rugby Network.
I wouldn't like to be at the bottom of that.
You need your cleats? You need them tomorrow? If you order today by 3 p.m. New York time or noon LA time, they can have them to you tomorrow. Young, old, male, female, if you're playing on turf, if you're playing on grass, if you're playing in the rain, you're playing in the heat, they've got you covered. RugbyNow.com. Go there now. Here's your TRO, the Rugby Odds MLR picks of the week via WWE Hall of Famer turned rugby advocate John Bradshaw Layfield, legendary USA Olympic Sevens coach Mike Friday, and King Gipte Belu, inventor of words.
And going to places that are completely the opposite of where I'm at right now. We're looking at Chicago and New England. New England coming off of a break, Chicago coming off of a loss. Look for New England to be able to keep the game, get the game win, but I look at Chicago to be able to cover the points.
I'm going to take Utah. Utah at home, those guys can run. They can run and score. I think Nala's a very good team, by the way. I just think Utah's going to outscore them. Give me Utah at home.
DC will come out firing. They're decent at home, so I think DC win that.
And hey, be sure to check out the Rugby Odds, the critically acclaimed sports entertainment show featuring big-name talent, exclusive highlights, insightful opinions, and irreverent, if not downright naughty, behavior. And we're back with Mr. Bryan Ray of America's Rugby News /Ray's Rugby. Bryan, give me a summary of the weekend before we get you to make the picks.
I have to say, pretty disappointing showing from Anthem. I just expected them to be a little bit more prepared heading into this season, and defense just didn't show up. And it's not really about missed tackles. It's about missed assignments, like leaving gaping holes where players should be. Communication's just not happening there. So San Diego had kind of an easy run against them. Utah, I have to say, impressed with their first run out against a tough Chicago team. They didn't hand it to them. They had to earn it.
Did you say anything to Coach Greg Cooper in the green room?
I guess I owe him some kudos for that.
Maybe an apology. Maybe an apology.
Hey, we're young in this season yet. We'll see how it goes. But off to a good start. Certainly they're showing me up. And not just me. I'm not the only one who didn't particularly rate them so far. But we'll see. But that was a good game. Very good start. So great to see D'Angelo Luila outstanding at number 10, I thought. So very nice pickup there. Spencer Jones, also Canadian inside center. I thought he was outstanding in that game. Nola against Miami.
You had to get the Canadian in there, didn't you?
Hey, you got to get these guys credit. Nola and Miami, that was a wacky game. And Miami seemed determined to kind of throw it away again. I don't know what is going on there, but Jose Peliceta.
Just kick the penalty kick. Just kick it.
Peliceta is going to have as much hair as you and me by the end of this season. It's absolutely crazy what they're trying to do. And then another entertaining game, LA and Houston. Who knew what was going to happen in that one? At halftime, it looked pretty hairy for Houston, but that second half, it was like the Pack kind of said, okay, maybe we should actually try and win this game.
What happened to LA? What can Stephen Hoyles take from that match, from that match in the second half?
Well, I mean, I think it's kind of what we said before the season, at least what I thought before the season, looking at the team, is that the back line is absolutely electric. As soon as, when they're moving the ball quickly, they're really hard to live with. But, I'm not sure that they have that experience, that grunt, that size in their pack to really, contest when there's a team like Houston that can just grind you down like that. I'm just not sure that the bodies are there and the depth is there right now. So I just don't know. I mean, I think they just have to live and die by the sword, which is, spin to win. And, that was working for the first half, but when it doesn't, it just didn't go well for them.
Yeah, shame. All right, let's go to picks, Bryan. And these are from the Rugby Odds, the TRO staff, crack staff that came up with these spreads. Carolina, the Anthem, hosting the Miami Sharks. The Sharks, road favorites by 14 points.
Yeah, that sounds about right. The Sharks aren't really winning me over with what they're doing right now, but they are an electric team when they put it together. I expect they'll maybe rest a couple bodies for this game on short notice, but still comfy winners. Until Anthem shores up their defensive responsibilities, then he's just going to have to side with whoever's playing against him.
And I would say that there's going to be a spit load of points scored, so maybe look at the over. DC, Old Glory, home opener versus San Diego. San Diego looking strong. -7 as road favorites.
Yeah, San Diego looks good right now. I don't see DC living with that kind of attack. I'm interested to see who San Diego runs out at fly half in this one. I thought Ethan Grayson looked pretty good when he went in there. And McClutchy looked good before he came off. So interested to see how that goes. But lots of options on attack. San Diego looks impressive early in the season, so you got to go with them on that one.
Okay, then you've got Utah coming off the big win in Chicago. They're the home favorites over NOLA, who was disappointing. Utah -4.
Yeah, I agree. NOLA was disappointing. That's a game that NOLA really should have targeted in Miami. It just couldn't pull it out. Utah going home against what will surely be a bumper crowd, home opener. They'll have all the momentum behind them. I got to go with the Warriors to win this one, and probably convincingly.
Okay, and then we have Houston and Seattle. That's a dandy. If Seattle can recover after that bye week and get their stuff together, but it's Houston at home -4.
Yeah, I think this is a bad matchup for Seattle right now. I just think, Houston really woke up in that second half against LA. They just have so much strength in that forward pack. Lindenmuth is back there now. He looked, pretty decent in that second half, and Seattle's just beaten up. I'm not sure they can live with them up front. So a full-strength Seattle side, I might think about it, but this Seattle outfit at the moment, I don't think is going to be able to hold out against the SaberCats.
Okay, and you say full strength. I mean, we could talk about teams taking stupid penalties and red cards and yellow cards. To me, it seems like there's been this onslaught of stupidity, but that's a whole different thing. Chicago, coming off the tough loss, at home versus New England. New England -4, road favorites.
Good game, and maybe one to circle the calendar is one of those ones that makes a difference in the standings come the end of the season. So even though it's early, these games are just as meaningful. I think this is one that New England's going to want to win, if anything, just to remind everybody who they are. Even though they did win in LA, but they're rested coming up. Chicago will be disappointed. I'm going to take New England in this one. I think they've got it, and I think it'll be close, though. I think this will be a dog fight, as we'll say, for the Hounds. But I think the Free Jacks take this one, by about 5, by one score, 5 to 7 points.
Thank you to Mr. Bryan Ray. Thank you to Mr. John Fitzpatrick of Rugby Morning. Thank you to Mr. Greg Cooper of the Utah Warriors, and thank you for tuning in. Please check out the Rugby Odds. It's a great show. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Sign up for our weekly newsletter. It's once a week. And please join our American Red Cross blood donor team. Woo-hoo!